everyone's having a great Wednesday so far. Thank you for tuning in for our latest Wellness Wednesday. Really great episode today. Big thank you to Michael Murphy, lead singer of Written by Wolves, a rock band from New Zealand. They are big advocates of mental health and a band that I've been staying in communication with for a couple of years now, and had a great interview with Michael in 2019, which really focused on their band, their music, and the music industry. Of course, with Wellness Wednesday, this conversation is focused on mental health and a very special project that Michael and the band have put together, Collab, an EP of five songs that comes out on September 17th. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the interview, and thank you for your time. Have a great Wednesday, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Adrenaline to the heart. Never let anyone beat you. Not about to start. I'll be the loaded gun, the only one that I will ever need. And when my time is done, the battle's won. Will you remember me? We're right across the sky.
Again, great to see you. It's been a couple of years since we last spoke, and you're our guest for our third Wellness Wednesday. So thank you, Michael of Written by Wolves. And really the whole purpose of this Wellness Wednesday is to provide support for anyone struggling with mental health issues, to provide a sense of community and relief for those who need it. And one thing I wanted to do when I started this was, create a live living document that I'm going to be able to share that has mental health websites throughout the world that anyone can download and get that assistance that they need, right, if they don't have access. So before we get started, I know you were one of the first places to actually have live shows when this whole pandemic was kind of in full flight, right? And what was it like finally getting back on stage, getting to perform with your boys, getting to putting on a performance for your fans, which are literally all over the world? So what was that like?
Dude, it was amazing. And it's kind of it's almost surreal to kind of think back to. I think after the year that we had last year, and obviously this year's not a hell of a lot better, but obviously, we got to go back to the start to really talk about it. But after the year that we had last year, I think, and I know the music industry had felt it, and live venues had felt it, where people were becoming complacent about going out to shows and going to see bands and do various things. And I think last year kind of made people really grateful for live music and really miss it and really hungry to go out and have a good time and party with their favorite bands and things like that. And so when we first got back, I think we hadn't played a show in 11 months was the go by the time we played. No, it might have actually been 13 months. I think we played one in February and then we played one in March the following year. So I think by then, like, we were fizzing, like, at that, just, excitement levels were off the absolute charts. But I think the crowd and the audience. So this first festival that we played back is called Homegrown, and it's a big one in New Zealand. I mentioned to you before we were recording that New Zealand's like not even in our, it's where we live, obviously, and it's home, and I love this country to absolute bits, but it's not the territory in which our music is is popping off. I suppose you should say. Like, I mean, you know, we have a very very diehard and a great following here in New Zealand, but it's probably not in our top 10. And as I was saying to you before we were recording as well, that
Yep.
we're a small country. We've only got, our population is 5 million. So you know, it's you kind of get an understanding there. And so we've got this amazing festival every year that's called Homegrown, which is all Kiwi artists, which funnily enough, in COVID times when no other international artists could come, that's just a
Hmm.
standard festival now, I suppose. um, but so we were opening the rock stage, and the organizers afterwards just like lost their minds and were like, we have never ever seen that many people for an opening act. And it's because
Wow.
people were queuing up at 11 o'clock in the morning getting ready to get in, and we went on to like 1 or 2 or something like that,
Hmm.
because they were just so excited and so grateful to have live music again. And just the feeling was just insane. Like, you could kind of like cut it with a knife, it was that exciting. And I think that was really just we started to feel that with every other gig we played after that, and with everything we did. People were so excited and they were so keen to go and do stuff because they'd had this time when it was taken away, and all of a sudden they were like, no, 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 I am not missing out on anything ever again.
No, that's great. And you know, when I put this together, I actually have the clip that you were talking about, and it looks crazy. It looks crazy. It looks like so much fun.
Yeah,
And you know, that's one thing we talked about when we first spoke, you know, about, you know, your background, your history of the band, you know, how your music has a personal touch and provides others with a sense of hope. And you know what, like that is the perfect example of what your music does. And you really like to expand on that, you know, that statement. As you and the band, you have supporters, and you are advocates of mental health. And you know, there's many things I read about, you know, the band and what you guys do, and mental health seems to be something that um, is at the forefront quite a bit, including in your music, right? um,
yeah,
you know, so and I ask that because the music business, it's fickle. You hear about fame and money and, you know, all this other stuff, but you know, the way Written by Wolves is using its platform is in such a different way that, you know, I would just love to hear about why that's so important to you and the band, and what that means to you.
yeah. That's interesting, man. I mean, I think I suppose for me, music has always been. I've been really, really lucky in my life, and I think music for me has always been, I suppose, a form of therapy. You know, it's a way that
Mhm.
I can get out what I'm feeling. I've never been great at kind of sharing my emotions. You know, it's a real sort of stoic kind of standard persona in New Zealand, that, you know, a Kiwi bloke doesn't share his feelings. And you know, we
Mhm.
drink beer and we play rugby and we do that, you know. And but I think, and I understand that that's not just a New Zealand thing. That is a very standard cultural aspect around the world. But music for me has always been a real outlet that I could share my feelings and I could share my thoughts, and I could use that to get emotions out that would otherwise possibly have been bottled up. And I think I've always been really lucky in that. And then obviously when Written by Wolves started, we started to get all the time, like daily, essentially, messages from people telling us about what our music had done for them, and how it had helped them through dark times, or in some cases they were telling us that it had saved their lives. And that kind of that blew me away. And I realized really quickly that this was something amazing that we had, and it was something very very special that we had, that I could that I could write these things and it could help people, and that the band and I had this ability and this kind of honor and privilege, I suppose, to be able to be that for people through times that were difficult. And you know, they obviously didn't have the same outlets that I have
Mhm.
to me in songwriting. So we went eventually we kind of went, well, how can we do more? So we started working with mental health charities in New Zealand,
Mhm.
and doing as much as we can to advocate for changing the sort of societal norms around mental health, um, which has kind of culminated in where we're at now. And so it was sort of about a year ago we started talking about what it is that we could do to support our fans and our followers more, and how we could possibly go about trying to be a part of the conversation and begin trying to change societal norms around mental health. How can we change the way that we talk about things? How can we destigmatize mental health, because they're normal. We obviously there's a spectrum and there's a scale of what people are going
Mm-hmm.
through, but these are all things that we all understand, but we're just too scared to talk about it because we've always been told that we can't. So how
Yep.
can we change that? So we set about starting an initiative called the Collab Project, and the Collab Project is essentially just that. It is our initiative to remind our fans and followers that whatever they're going through, no matter whatever sort of mental health struggles or demons they're battling, that they don't have to do it alone. It's about trying to break down those barriers that mental health, that society has put there around that, and how can we break down that stigma. And so for us, the first iteration of the Collab Project is reimagined versions of our album from 2019, 18, one of
Yeah.
those anyway. I think 19. Goodness me, that is terrible. I should know this stuff. I wrote the bloody thing. But anyway, so it's reimagined versions of that. It's an EP of and we reached out to some of our favorite artists in
Yep.
the world, childhood heroes of mine, and surprisingly they came back and said yes, which blew our minds, which I think is the kind of lesson that we're trying to show here, is that you can talk to people and you'll be surprised at the reactions that you're going to get. And I think in doing all of this, I've tried to be more open about
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going through and what I'm feeling, and to talk about these things. And my wife will attest that I'm not always great at it, but I'm trying to get better, and I'm trying to kind of lead from the front in that example, I suppose, and show that it's doable. And I think that was something that I felt I had to do, which has been terrifying, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm blown away by the responses I'm getting from people that I never expected would kind of be proud of me for doing this, have come out and have, family members, neighbors, friends, everyone online, just everyone is so willing to sort of thank me,
Yep.
or to show how proud they are of what we're trying to do here. So I think there is a change, there is a shift happening in society in which this is something that's going to be something that we can do, and it's going to be perceived in a different way. And I think that's amazing. And obviously I'm not saying that we did it, I'm just saying we're being a part of it and we're trying to do our bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I think, if the pandemic has taught us one thing, it's how to, communicate better, more openly, more honestly, transparent, right? And the fact that we have social media with the way it is, and the fact that we're talking, we've never met, you know.
Yeah.
I reached out to you guys a couple of years ago. Hey, I like your stuff, want to talk about it, and now we're having this conversation that affects millions and millions of people, and
That's right.
and that's fascinating to me, to be able to do something like this, and to be able to share this conversation with you, who are on your platform is completely different than mine. You've performed with bands I've listened to for years. Like, it's a laundry list of acts that huge names, right? And you guys are doing amazing things. And for you to do this collab project, and if I'm not mistaken, it's September 17th.
That's bang on, dude. That's exactly when
Yeah.
it's dropping.
Awesome. And it's fascinating to me to be able to have this conversation with someone like you that's doing such great work. So
I think that's just it. And that's, I think, obviously there's some real downsides to the digital world in which we can kind of live in, but there's some huge positives there as well. We've never been more connected. And I know there's definitely a disconnect that comes from living online and things like that. But the fact that I can have this conversation with you and we can sort of do these things, and I can feel like I'm connected with you all the way over on the other side of the world, I think is really, really special. Obviously that transports to music as well. And that, like I say, our fan base is all over the world. I think a third of our listenership is in the US and Canada, and then the next third's in the UK and Europe, and then the
Mhm.
next third's kind of the rest of the world, with kind of Australia kind of leading the way at the top there. So I think we're incredibly grateful. I mean, uh, with the pandemic and things like that as well, we can't tour right now. Like, we just
Yep.
unfortunately cannot get to the other side of the world and play to our fans. but we can still communicate with them. We can still connect with them. We can still be there and kind of, you know, being able to have this conversation, being able to give them music, being able to do live streams and chat with everyone. And we are really, really lucky in that instance. And I think that's where the world is changing so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Is you know, we're so lucky in that sense, as far as we are particularly concerned, as far as this band. I mean, Written by Wolves wouldn't exist in the way that it does without those opportunities that the digital world affords us.
Absolutely. And you know, for those who, you know, if people want to reach out to you, if they want to reach out to the band or learn more about you know, where you guys are playing, what you're involved in, how can people do that?
It's pretty simple to find us, man. You type in Written by Wolves on anything, and you're gonna get us. Just whatever social media platform you use, if you type in Written by Wolves, you'll find us very, very quickly. Spotify, we're not too hard to find. YouTube, we're not too hard to find. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you type in Written by Wolves and you'll get us pretty quickly, I promise.
That's fantastic. And Michael, you know, really appreciate your time. I know time is precious these days, and and you have a family that you have to get back to. So I can't thank you enough for this. You know, really looking forward to putting this together and getting this out on Wednesday. And, you know, just thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for the message that you're putting out there, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really, really proud to be a part of it. And I think it's amazing that there's so many people that are willing to have this conversation. And that's how we are going to slowly change the way that society looks at these things. The more and more people that are willing to talk, and the more and more people that are willing to be a part of it, that's the only way it's going to happen. So I think this is incredible.
Fantastic. Well, Michael, I couldn't have said it better myself. And these few minutes that we spent together have been fantastic. Appreciate your time, Michael.
The feeling
Thank you.
Is mutual, brother.
Absolutely. You have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
You too, man.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
The Collab Project is an initiative that we in Written by Wolves are starting to try and spread awareness and to remind our fans and our followers that no matter what they're going through, no matter what mental health struggles or demons they are battling with right now, they don't have to do it alone, and they don't have to deal with it on their own. Now, I know exactly how impossible that sounds, and sometimes when you are in your darkest place, the last thing you want to do is talk about it with someone. And I know this because I am still terrible at that myself, and I still don't like doing that, but I'm trying to get better at that. Now, we need to change the way that we deal with these things. We need to normalize these incredibly normal issues that so many of us are going through. We need to break down the stigma that is attached to mental illness, and we need to do it quickly. This first iteration of the Collab Project is an EP of collaborative reimaginings of tracks from our debut album, Secrets. Now, when we first talked about doing this and starting this and what it might look like, obviously the first track that popped into our heads was Help Me Through the Night. Like, this track talks about everything that we are trying to talk about right now, and we will forever be grateful to Callan Quinn for stepping up and agreeing to be a part of this. And I think what he has done on that song is so incredible. We have some pretty amazing collabs coming as well, and we think you're all going to be pretty excited to see what's coming and the amazing people that have stepped up and done amazing things for this. We are incredibly proud that this exists, and we're also kind of surprised and blown away that it exists. And I think just as we were surprised that when we reached out to these people that they said yes and were so willing to jump on board with a project like this and worked with a little old band from New Zealand, I think you will also be surprised when you reach out to someone and try and talk to them, just the reaction that you're going to get. These are not issues that just you alone are going through. Obviously yours is personal to you, but these are normal things. And we need to change the way that we deal with them, because the way that we're doing it right now is not working.